Hey everybody, it's John Anthony Chihak Soltero of Antihero Brand Press. I am here today to review Volume 1 of the complete Punisher Max saga. This is a really nice thick volume. It's $34.99 at your local comic book shop or bookstore. This book encompasses the miniseries Born, which is the retelling or retconning of Punisher's origin. It's a 4-issue miniseries, and the first 12 issues of the Punisher Max storyline, all the issues in here, all the stories in here are written by Garth Ennis, who is probably most well known for Preacher, Hitman, also Punisher, Welcome Back Frank, and the Punisher Max storyline. The Punisher Born miniseries is illustrated by Darick Robertson. LaRosa does the first 6 issues of the ongoing Max series, which is In the Beginning. And Leandro Fernandez does issues 7 through 12, which is the story Kitchen Irish, which if 10 years ago around this time, you went to the movie theaters and you saw Punisher Warzone, there's a character from Kitchen Irish that was in that movie that first took place in this book. His name is McGinty. He is a crazy Irish mobster. He runs his own mob in Hell's Kitchen, or what's now called Clinton. And the character originated here. In the movie, he was toned down a little bit. He was the black guy with the dreadlocks doing parkour, like flipping off the buildings and stuff like that. And one of his guys got nailed with a rocket launcher in the movie. McGinty in this story, Kitchen Irish, heads one of the Irish mob families that are going after this old Irish guy. He was like the Irish mobster, and he hid something like $10 million, I think. And there were these 4 factions, and he wanted each of them to have $2.5 million to do their own thing with. And he wanted them to stop fighting and stop bickering. But he was this like miserable old man who just hated everybody. And he had one last joke for them and one last definition of his animosity towards them. It's a phenomenal story. Rereading this brought back a lot of memories, because I did read it when it first came out in 2004 in single issue format. It also brought back, like, in my head, like hearing the different Irish accents, and then hearing McGinty's accent from Punisher Warzone the movie and matching it to the book. Super violent, super gritty, super realistic in terms of, this is probably the underbelly of what's going on in the world, the things that we don't see, the things that we pretend don't happen, but hyped up to 11. Like the violence and the language and everything is cranked up. You know, the knob doesn't go that high, and Garth Ennis is able to bring that out of pretty much anything he works on. One really, really, really cool thing about rereading this is I found my new favorite Punisher artist, and used to be John Romita Jr. when he drew like the ultra big stocky Punisher, and he had the deviated septum and everything. Leandro Fernandez is my now favorite Punisher artist. He does a phenomenal job. He shows that Frank is in his 60s, but he's still a big stocky dude. He's very powerful. The blood and guts and the just sheer movement and frenetic pacing of this story, and how far the Punisher will go to exact punishment, I guess. The first arc, 1 through 6, is called In the Beginning, and the NSA is now coming after Frank Castle to try to recruit him to go to war with Al-Qaeda to try to take down bin Laden. You got to remember, this was back in 2004. This was way before bin Laden was killed, you know, whatever you believe, if he had been dead for years or whatnot. But a former associate of the Punisher, Linus Lieberman, a.k.a. Micro, who you see not only in Punisher Warzone from 10 years ago, but in the Netflix Punisher series, you get this character who knows Frank as well, if not better than anybody else, coming with the government to try to get him to take on Al-Qaeda, to go after the Taliban, to as Micro puts it, to do some real good in the world. Micro kind of lost his taste for punishment and vengeance years and years ago, and doesn't see the point of doing that anymore. But if Frank can use his skills and his abilities to make some severe changes in the world and kind of just, take out the ultimate bad guys, as it were, what he does can be put to good use, as per, Homeland Security is thinking and Micro's thinking and stuff. Born is a 4-issue miniseries which encompasses the last several days of Frank Castle's third tour in Vietnam. And it also brings about the new retconned origin of the Punisher. It didn't happen when Frank's family was killed in Central Park when they witnessed a mob hit gone wrong. It took place a ways before that, when Frank was still in Vietnam, and he was the second in command at a fort that was behind enemy lines, that was under equipped, had a bunch of junkies who were stationed there. The guy who was in charge didn't care. He just wanted to finish out his time, and he wanted to just, do his thing. This is where Frank really shows he really gets a taste for what he's doing, and he likes what he's doing. He doesn't want to stop. So what you see in the Netflix series with John Bernthal, in the scene where he's talking about, or he's hearing in his head, that this is what he wants. He wants to keep doing this. He doesn't want to let it go. He doesn't stop once his family has been avenged. This is who he is. He has decided this about himself, and that's when he switches it off. Well, that happened back in Vietnam before his family was initially murdered by the mob. And so Frank made this decision ahead of time. And every decision, every goal, everything that we want in life comes with sacrifice. And for Frank's case, that was his wife and children. It's tough to say it's beautifully written, but it's very, very well orchestrated. Garth Ennis's architecture of the mind of the Punisher, and how the stories just escalate and escalate. And you're like, how can he keep doing this? Okay, you told one story and that was great. And then you told another story. Okay, that amped it up even more. And then you told another story. How do you keep pushing it further and further up the hill? Ennis just never seems to lose that bloodlust that he has for just wanton violence and punishment, as it were. Punisher, as you guys might know if you followed my channel before, is the first character I really felt an empathy for and felt connected with. I was 12 or 13 years old, just starting puberty, just starting to get really angry with the world. And while I have changed quite a bit in terms of using that anger to do positive things and to be better and to work harder, this character still holds a lot of reverence for me and a lot of impact. And I can, read these stories and just kind of breathe a sigh of relief and remember what I saw and what I read and what I felt back then. Great read, definitely worth the price of the $34.99 price tag. You get 12 issues of the ongoing. You get the mini-series, so you get 16 issues in total. Marvel tends to price their trade paperbacks and their collected editions pretty heavily, and that's problematic for me. That's one of the things that makes me really not like Marvel Comics a lot these days. However, I do have to say that any of the Punisher Max, anything written by Garth Ennis, whether you're picking up the Marvel Knights series, Welcome Back, Frank, or any of the Max series stuff, definitely worth the price of admission. If you're not a big fan of superheroes, you like crime, you like noir, you like violence, you like things that are pushed, this is the ultimate in terms of it's rated R, between rated R and between rated NC-17. It's unrated, released into theaters, and just unleashed upon everything that you hold dear about comic books. Highly recommend it. Please check it out. And I'll be talking to you soon, doing more reviews, especially with my new camera setup. And hope your incoming Crazy Time holiday season is treating you well. Hit me up with comments with your favorite Punisher stories or what you'd like to see me review in the future. See if I can get a hold of it if I don't already have it in my growing graphic novel collection. And I'll talk to you later. This is John Anthony Chihak Soltero of Anti-Hero Brand Press. Have an awesome week.